Hey folks, William here. You ever been driving down the road minding your own business and that pesky battery light pops on? You pull over thinking your alternator's gone kaput again. But wait, you check it, and darned if that alternator ain't charging just fine. So what in tarnation is going on? Well, don't you worry your pretty little heads, because today, we're gonna dive deep into the top 8 reasons why your battery light might be on, even when your alternator is working like a champ. You see, that battery light ain't just some random annoyance, it's your car's way of telling you something's wrong in the electrical system. And just like ignoring a flat tire, ignoring this light could leave you stranded on the side of the road. So, let's get right to it and figure out what's really going on under the hood. Now, the first thing we gotta check is the most obvious culprit, the battery itself. It's the heart of your car's electrical system. And if it's not working right, nothing else will either. You see, even if your alternator's doing its job and sending juice to the battery, that battery might be too far gone to hold a charge properly. This is a common issue, especially in older vehicles. Over time, batteries just wear out. It's a fact of life, like taxes and politicians telling fibs. The wear and tear can be accelerated by extreme temperatures, both hot and cold. The chemicals inside degrade, and they can't hold as much of a charge as they used to. This degradation is inevitable, but regular maintenance can help extend the life of your battery. So even if the alternator's pushing power to it, the battery might not be able to store it. This can lead to a range of issues, from dim headlights to a car that won't start. Now, how do you know if your battery's the problem? Well, a simple test with a voltmeter will tell you if it's holding the proper voltage. It's a quick and easy check that can save you a lot of trouble. If it's low, even after a charge, you're likely looking at a replacement. Don't ignore this sign, as it can leave you stranded at the worst possible time. And don't go cheap on the battery either. A good battery is an investment in your car's reliability. Get yourself a good quality battery from a reputable brand. It might cost a bit more upfront, but it'll pay off in the long run. It'll save you headaches down the road. Trust me on this one. A reliable battery means peace of mind every time you turn the key. Alright, let's say your battery's checked out fine. The next thing we gotta look at are the battery connections. You got your positive and negative terminals, and if they ain't clean and tight, they can cause all sorts of electrical gremlins. Corrosion, that nasty white or greenish gunk, is the enemy of good electrical contact. It builds up on the terminals and acts like an insulator, preventing the electricity from flowing properly. And even if you don't see corrosion, a loose connection can cause the same problem. Think of it like a loose wire in your house. It's not going to carry the current like it should. So grab yourself a wire brush and some battery terminal cleaner. Disconnect the battery terminals, negative side first always, and give them a good scrubbing. Then, make sure those connections are nice and tight. You'd be surprised how often this simple fix solves the problem. Now, let's move on to the alternator itself, specifically, the alternator belt. This small but crucial component plays a vital role in your car's electrical system. This belt is what spins the alternator, which generates the electricity to charge your battery. Without it, your car's battery would quickly drain, leaving you stranded. If it's loose, worn out, or even broken, your alternator ain't gonna charge properly. This can lead to a host of electrical problems, from dim headlights to a dead battery. A loose belt can slip, meaning the alternator ain't spinning as fast as it should. This slippage reduces the efficiency of the alternator, causing insufficient power generation. A worn-out belt might be cracked or glazed, and it won't grip the pulley properly. This lack of grip can cause the belt to slip or even snap under stress. And if the belt breaks, well, your alternator's dead in the water. Your car will rely solely on the battery, which won't last long without a charging alternator. Checking the belt is easy peasy. It's a simple task that can save you from major headaches down the road. Just pop the hood and take a look. A quick visual inspection can reveal a lot about the belt's condition. See if it's got any cracks, frays, or if it looks loose. These are all signs that the belt needs attention. You can try to wiggle it back and forth. If there's too much play, it's too loose. A properly tensioned belt should have minimal movement. Replacing an alternator belt is a relatively easy job too. With a bit of patience and the right instructions, you can do it yourself. You can usually do it yourself with some basic tools. A wrench and a bit of elbow grease can go a long way. Just make sure you get the right belt for your car. Consult your car's manual or ask a professional if you're unsure. Now let's talk about fuses. These small but crucial components are often overlooked until they cause a problem. Your car's electrical system is protected by fuses, which are designed to blow if there's too much current flowing through a circuit. This is a safety feature that helps prevent more serious damage. This prevents damage to your car's electrical components, such as the wiring and various electronic modules that control everything from your lights to your radio. There's a fuse for just about everything in your car, including the charging system, headlights, and even the power windows. If the fuse for your alternator or battery charging circuit blows, it can cause all sorts of problems, including that pesky battery light. This can leave you stranded if not addressed promptly. Now, checking fuses is pretty easy. It's one of the simpler tasks you can do to maintain your car's health. Most cars have a fuse box under the hood and sometimes one inside the car as well. These are usually clearly marked for easy identification. Consult your owner's manual to find the location of the fuse box and the specific fuse for your charging system. The manual will also provide a diagram to help you identify each fuse. Once you've found the fuse box, take a look at the fuse in question. It's important to ensure you're checking the right one. If it's blown, you'll see a broken wire inside the fuse. This is a clear indicator that the fuse needs to be replaced. Replacing a fuse is as simple as pulling out the old one and putting in a new one of the same amperage. Make sure the new fuse is seated properly. But remember, a blown fuse is usually a symptom of a bigger problem, so if it blows again, you'll need to do some further investigation. It could be a sign of an underlying electrical issue that needs professional attention. Next up, we've got the voltage regulator. This little gizmo is responsible for regulating the voltage that the alternator sends to the battery. If it goes bad, it can cause the battery to be overcharged or undercharged, which can trigger the battery light. Now, the voltage regulator is usually located inside the alternator itself, although some older cars might have an external one. It's a bit more complicated to test and replace than some of the other components we've talked about, so you might want to leave this one to a professional. But here's the thing. If your voltage regulator is bad, you'll likely experience other symptoms besides just the battery light. You might notice your headlights flickering, or your dashboard lights dimming. If you're experiencing these issues, it's a good idea to have your alternator and voltage regulator checked out by a mechanic. Now let's talk about wiring. The charging system in your car relies on a network of wires to carry the electricity from the alternator to the battery and the rest of the car. If any of these wires are damaged, frayed, or corroded, it can disrupt the flow of electricity and cause the battery light to come on. Finding and fixing wiring issues can be a real pain in the neck. You'll need to trace the wiring harness from the alternator to the battery and look for any signs of damage. If you find a damaged wire, you'll need to repair or replace it. This is another one of those jobs that you might want to leave to a professional, especially if you're not comfortable working with electrical wiring. But if you're feeling adventurous and you have a good understanding of electrical systems, you can certainly tackle it yourself. Alright, we're getting down to the wire here. We've checked the battery, the connections, the belt, the fuses, the voltage regulator, and the wiring. If you've ruled out all of those possibilities, then it's time to start suspecting the alternator itself. Now I know what you're thinking, Scotty. You said the alternator was charging. And you're right, I did. But here's the thing. An alternator can be failing and still produce some charge. It might not be producing enough charge, or it might be producing an inconsistent charge, which can trigger the battery light. Testing an alternator is a bit more involved than some of the other tests we've talked about, but it's still something that you can do at home with a multimeter. You'll need to check the alternator's output voltage with the engine running and under load. If the voltage is too low or fluctuates too much, then your alternator is likely on its way out. Finally, let's talk about the battery sensor. Some newer cars have a battery sensor that monitors the battery's condition and sends information to the car's computer. If this sensor goes bad, it can send faulty information to the computer, which can trigger the battery light. The battery sensor is usually located on the negative battery terminal, and it's a relatively easy part to replace. However, if you're not comfortable working on your car's electrical system, you might want to leave this one to a professional. Now remember, not all cars have a battery sensor. So there you have it, folks. Those are the top 8 culprits behind your battery light being on while the alternator is charging. Remember, that battery light is your car's way of telling you something's wrong, so don't ignore it. By checking these components, you can get to the bottom of the problem and keep your car running smoothly. And remember, a little preventative maintenance goes a long way. Keep those battery terminals clean,